Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing to talk about FootPrints version 12, and in many cases, how FootPrints version 12 compares to TrackIt, right? How you can leverage FootPrints in ways that you just couldn't leverage TrackIt for. Now, in FootPrints, we were just talking about the concept of the workspace, right? And workspaces, of course, allow you and your customers to gain access to the kinds of functions that you want to deliver. So literally any management function you can think of, any process that you have where there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and folks need to have work done in between on some kind of request, FootPrints can help you manage using the concept of those workspaces, and of course using a fully point-and-click, utterly codeless interface to allow you to be able to create the kinds of functions that you'd like in the solution without having to hire expensive programmers or take their time away from their day jobs, right? Because administering FootPrints is something that, and this is a Gartner statistic, roughly 0.10 of an FTE is required to do FootPrints administration, simply because there is no code. So it's a very, very easy solution to administer. But what that really means for you is that your customers, as well as your technicians, will be able to gain access to FootPrints in a much more robust and easy fashion than they may be used to. FootPrints, of course, allows your customers to call you, so you can certainly open up tickets, right? Open up requests, maybe a new service request because a customer has contacted you. So customers can call about that new service request. Customers can email FootPrints, which allows them to sit right at their email inbox and type an email into the FootPrints workspace that they would like, and FootPrints will then automatically create a ticket from that email, no copying and pasting required. Or your customers can simply be allowed to log right into their own portal. And when a customer logs into a portal in FootPrints, they're allowed to gain access to really whatever you choose to display back to them. In our case, we're allowing our customers to see a service catalog, so that many of the services that we offer, such as IT services, etc., will be available for our customers to see. And what this means is, with a couple clicks, your customers can gain access to the kinds of functions that you would like them to have without having to go through complex menu systems or really make multiple clicks or work harder than they need to gain access to this. It's almost like a shopping experience, right? If you go on Amazon, you guys know what that works like. You look for living room furniture. You say, hey, I want furniture for my living room. Hey, I want seating for my living room instead of tables. And then finally you drill in and say, hey, I would like to look at couches. Once you decide on the couch that you want to order, you can place that order through Amazon. And once you decide on the service you'd like to order from the service catalog, you can place an order for that service as well. FootPrints will create the ticket for you and whisk it off to the right people so that they can fulfill it. Now, the service catalog can be split out so that different customers can have different views. And what that really means for you is you can have different customers see access and gain access to things like human resource services and project management services, whereas other customers in the organization may not be privileged to have access to those. This means that you can have a single service catalog that presents all of your services and segregate and separate those services so that only the right audience gains access to the correct services when necessary. They can still have access to all the IT services. They can still drill into specific services and order things like, hey, maybe your customer wants to request a new desktop. And if they ask for this new desktop, they can see all the information about it. You can include pricing info or any other details here you would like. If they choose request a service, it's just like ordering it if they were doing it through Amazon. The order form is now filled out. The workstation request has now been completed, and our customer can simply save and close this request off their screen, so that they don't have to look at it anymore. They can then check the status of their request anytime right through their home screen so that they can gain access to all of their requests and see any tickets that they may have. And if you'd rather, your customers can simply be given the option to report an incident directly. Now, the form that we have presented here, just like the one you looked at earlier for ordering that workstation, is a very simple one, but it can be as complex as you'd like. You can include whatever information you want to give back to your customer so that they can provide you with all the details needed to make these requests of you, right? And of course, studies have shown that if customers are given information that is too complex, they probably won't use the form. They'll just call you instead. So you want to make this as simple as you can for your customers so that they can fill in the information that's necessary and only the information that's necessary. The same holds true, of course, for your technicians. You want to make sure that when they are accessing the incident form, that only the information that they need to provide is what is on screen. And FootPrints, of course, allows us to make sure we provide only the requisite information. It does this through a point-and-click, no-code interface. So for those of you who are Trackit users and are frustrated with the ability of Trackit to really not capture all of your workflow or all of the needed fields or data that you want to capture, especially because later on you're going to want to report on this stuff, right? And we're going to talk about that too. Then you wish for Trackit to be much more administratable than it is. You can't make changes to all but a few fields. You can't really add your own custom fields everywhere you'd like. You can't create your own custom objects in Trackit. And this is where FootPrints comes into play. Because through the administration console inside of FootPrints, I have the ability to create my own workspaces, right? Manage my own processes, creating the kinds of workspaces I'd like. So if I want to manage all my corporate services, if I have an engineering department with engineering requests, if I manage corporate communications or modifications to web pages, or literally any kind of workspaces you can imagine, FootPrints allows you to create a workspace to manage literally any kind of process you can think of. And each of these workspaces, each of these collections of all of the fields and all of the statuses that you need to move your process forward can in turn have multiple types of requests within them. So we can send surveys, we can manage incidents, manage facilities requests, manage ongoing problem investigations, any kind of request really that you have in-house that you need to be able to manage. FootPrints can allow you to do that. So what that really means is, if you need to make changes to your incident form, you can easily double-click it, right? And I'm going to do this all right here in front of you on the demo. You can see that I have access to change the customer web as well as the agent version of the web. And yes, we can even customize a mobile version of the form so that if you access FootPrints with a not very smart smartphone, right, an old smartphone where you can't pinch zoom, you can even create a form that is eligible for those folks to be able to see. But what FootPrints lets us do quickly is make modifications to these forms by creating my own fields that I can then subsequently drag and drop right onto the form. And you can see I have a list of some of my fields here, including the ever-popular drop-down field that we were playing with earlier in our demo discussion. If I want to place this field someplace on my form, and I'm just going to put it right over here for the sake of argument. Actually, I'll put it here in the contact information section. You can see how easy it was, right? I placed my drop-down field right onto the form. I don't have to have any sort of degree in managing DBA information or managing databases. I don't even need to know how to spell SQL in order to make FootPrints do this, because the creation of these fields, the adding of them to the forms, the modifications of all of their values, any choices that I wish to edit, adding my own choices. If I could type it, it'd be good. Choices, see? Adding my own choices to the form, very, very simple, and I now have a new drop-down on the form with a value in it called my own choices. So FootPrints allows us to make very quick and easy changes to literally every field. I can delete any field that I don't want. I can even add my own sections to the form so that I can manage all the functionality that I need to for the process at hand. And doing this really means that if I can capture the data that I need for my process, if I can capture the fields, then inevitably I'm going to be able to report on that information. And in the end, that's what many, many customers who use Trackit are running their ship aground on, right? They can't really get at the data they want because Trackit can't be manipulated enough so that they can capture the information they want, let alone be able to report on that. So in FootPrints, being able to capture any detail that I would like, being able to modify my own workspaces, adding my own fields to the system of any kind that I would like. I can add drop-down fields, text fields, integer fields, literally anything that I want to. And FootPrints will allow me to drag and drop these right out onto the form when I'm ready. That means that any workspace can become any function that I need, and I'm no longer bound to the limitations of Trackit. Instead, I can use FootPrints to create the processes that I've imagined creating for my organization.